English 2, Module 1, Live, Love, Laugh, 1.02, Poetry. Love is anterior to life, posterior to death, initial of creation, and the exponent of breath. Emily Dickinson. Select the colored words for more information. Love. The words love and life are alliterative. Anterior, before, at the beginning of. Posterior, after, at the end of. Death and breath rhyme. What other poetic devices have been used here? Love is a powerful sentiment, feeling, and many writers have focused their efforts on expressing this complicated feeling through figurative language and other poetic devices. In this lesson, we will look to how words can be used to convey emotion. Objectives. After completing this lesson, you will be able to demonstrate understanding of poetic devices, convey your experience, analysis, and response to different poems. English 2, Module 1, Live, Love, Laugh, 1.02, Poetry. Understanding poetry. To start your analysis of any poem, you must first read the text, and then revisit it to dig deeper. This process will allow you to comprehend and appreciate the author's message or experience. If you were going to analyze a painting, you would consider the use of color or types of brushstroke an artist used. In analyzing poetry, you need to consider the following elements: words, images, figurative language, tone, structure, meaning. Match the terms with their definitions to review your understanding of important poetic devices. If you need additional help, consider reviewing this poetry resource. Simile. Personification. Analysis. After you have reviewed the important elements of poetry, it is time to begin your analysis. Read the following poem and then select Next to analyze it. Poe's poem is a riddle. See if you can figure it out.
For her this rhyme is penned, whose luminous eyes, brightly expressive as the twins of Leda, shall find her own sweet name, that nestling lies upon the page, enwrapped from every reader. Search narrowly the lines, they hold a treasure divine, a talisman, an amulet that must be worn at heart. Search well the measure, the words, the syllables. Do not forget the trivial point, or you may lose your labor. And yet there is, in this no Gordian knot, which one might not undo without a saber, if one could merely comprehend the plot. And written upon the leaf, where now are peering eyes scintillating soul, there lie Purdue. 3 eloquent words oft uttered in the hearing of poets by poets, as the name is a poet's too. Its letters, although naturally lying, like the knight Pinto Mendez Ferdinando, still form a synonym for truth. Cease trying. You will not read the riddle, though you do the best you can do. For her, this
Analysis. Look at the following analysis of this poem. Did you notice the same things? What details has this student left out? Characteristics. Initial response. What does this poem seem to be about? This poem seems to be a riddle. It is a valentine written to someone, but the author does not say who it is. Words. Were the words in this poem difficult or easy to understand? Was there any word or phrase that was powerful to you? There were some words that were difficult to understand. The author made some references I did not know about. When I looked them up, I found the part about the Gordian knot was particularly interesting, since this poem is a riddle. Images. Did the poet create strong images? What could you see, hear, smell, taste, or feel? The poet added in several images, especially at the beginning. I could see the woman's bright eyes, even though I did not know her name. Figurative language. What poetic devices were used in this poem? What did these poetic devices do for the poem? Did these devices help create imagery or communicate the author's feelings? The poet used metaphor when he described the poem itself as a talisman that must be worn at the heart. That showed the importance of his feelings for the woman. He also used rhyme and alliteration to bring the sounds of the poem together. Analysis continued. Emotion. What emotion is the author trying to express? This author is trying to express the emotion of a secret love. Because he has hidden her name in a riddle within the poem, his love is clear, and so is the secrecy. Structure. How is this poem organized? Lines, stanzas, etc. What is unique or interesting about the structure of the poem? Does the poem rhyme? There is only one stanza in this poem. Every other line rhymes. The most interesting thing about the structure of the poem is that it promises to hide the name of his love somewhere in the lines. Meaning. What is the poem saying about life or love? Explain. Are there any other reasonable ways to interpret this poem? This poem expresses the mysterious nature of love by hiding the name of the woman in the lines. It may also show that love can be fun or frustrating, depending on how the reader reacts to the riddle. Another way to interpret this poem might be that it does not focus enough on his love for the woman and instead focuses on the fun of the riddle. Perhaps the writer was trying to show that he loved riddles more than this woman. Publication. What kind of magazine or other publication would be the best place for this type of poem? The publication that would be best for this poem might be a light-hearted magazine that does not take love too seriously. Another option might be a magazine that specializes in riddles. Analysis. To analyze a poem, you must follow the 2 steps you just took here. First, read the poem on your own. Next, read the poem again to find specific details. This process will help you understand poetry. Virtual Poetry Museum. It is not quite the Louvre or the Metropolitan Museum of Art, but it contains written works that speak about the universal experience of love. Experiencing poetry. When we study literature of any type, not just poetry, it is always good to read first for enjoyment and basic understanding. As readers, we should consider the following elements upon a first reading. What is the writer's topic? What emotion or experience is the writer trying to convey? And how did the author convey this emotion or experience? We currently feature 2 exhibits in our virtual poetry museum. Read and enjoy several works of art from each exhibit, and be prepared to analyze one in detail. Use this Experiencing Poetry organizer to record your responses to these works of art. Poets.org. She Walks in Beauty. She Walks in Beauty? George Gordon Byron, 1788 to 1824. She walks in beauty like the night, of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes, thus mellowed to that tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. Assessment. For this assessment, you must select one poem from the Virtual Poetry Museum and provide an in-depth analysis of it. Follow these 3 steps to complete your assessment. Select and read a poem from the Virtual Poetry Museum. Fill out your Experiencing Poetry organizer to provide your in-depth analysis. Select one magazine from the options below that you believe would be a good place to publish the poem you selected. Write one paragraph of 5 to 7 sentences explaining why you selected that magazine for the poem. Provide supporting evidence by using quotations from the poem to justify or support your opinion. Follow standard spelling, grammar, and punctuation rules. Assignment: complete the lesson and self-checks. Complete the graphic organizer and magazine paragraph. Submit your completed work to 1.02 Poetry.